Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and good morning to all the students. For BQS 559 this week, we are going to discuss about contractual arrangement. So if you have any question, please you can write it in the Google Classroom under discussion that assigned for this topic, and get ready with your notes and also the textbook that has been distributed to you. Before we can go further on the contractual arrangement that being used in the construction contract, it is important for students to understand what is the term contract all about. But we have been discussing this in various subjects previously, and the most important thing is that the student knows that a contract that we are talking here is an agreement between two parties that having a lawful objects, and under the construction contract the two parties is referred to the client or the owner of the project, and also the main contractor for the particular project, and both of these parties or more parties intends to create one or more legal obligation between them. And the students also need to understand the basic elements of contract that forming a construction contract, where in the construction contract it's the contractor who made an offer to the client, and the client will accept the amount offered by the contractor to build the building or infrastructure works that intended by the client, by accepting the offer through a letter of acceptance and a formal contract signing. And both will provide a consideration for a contract, which a contractor will deliver a project that is accordance to what the clients want. The clients in return will pay the contractor for the work done in the projects. So these are the basic elements of a construction contract that the students need to keep in mind. So in construction contract, students, in general, a contractual arrangement is determined by the roles of the participants in the contracts, how the payment is being made, the timing of events, as well as the condition of contract that being used. For instance, we have a contract based on the contract price. We have term cost and price that have a special interpretation appropriate to the construction industry. Cost is actually for a building contractor and all the expenses or expenditure for the contractor to carry out the works, and on the other hand, the price is including the amount charged to the client, including the work done that has been carried out, the expenditure, and also the profits in related to the work that has been carried out. So that's the difference between the price and the cost. So now let's look at the first type of construction contract. The first one is based on the contract price. Okay, fixed price means that the contracts that carried out based on the amount that has been pre-agreed or agreed in advance before the contract has been signing. And cost, in other way, is where the client will be paying the contractors on his actual cost of the works plus some fee that being allocated for the contractor. So how to choose between a fixed price and the cost reimbursement is actually depends on your clients, and also what has been decided before the tender is being issued out. Normally, for a construction contract, it will use the fixed price where the price has been fixed earlier, and it will not adjusted based on the fluctuations. It will remain the same even though there's a variation, but it won't affect the fixed price that has been agreed as a lump sum contract. Thus, for the fixed price contract, it's very important for the contractor to be able to foresee the unforeseen costs or provide a price contingencies. For example, for the design error, to ensure that the contractor is not losing at the end. For cost reimbursement, in other words, is actually the contractor's flexibility depends on the work done on site, and but what happened is that it could be higher and it could be lower towards the end of the project. So the next one is based on the extent of the contractor's obligation and a method of procurement. There are three here: traditional procurement, design and build, and also management based. We will discuss further next week. And the last one is the continuation of contract and other types of contract that are available in a construction industry. So here are the types of contractual arrangement when using the first category, which is the fixed price, or what we call as a firm price. There are two. First one is lump sum. Second one is the remeasurement. So for lump sum, it is agreed in advance. There are two types. First one is bills of quantities, where traditionally the BQ will be provided by the consultants and to be incorporated as part of the contract for a reference to the parties to the contract to look at the quantities, the itemized things that need to be done on site, and also the costs, and individual costs and the total cost for the project. And the second one is based on the drawing and the specification, where BQ is not part of the contract. And next one is the remeasurement. We have a contract sum ascertained on the completion rather than in advance. There are two types: schedule of rates and approximate quantities, bill of quantities. So the question is when to use lump sum contract. The word lump sum is a contract price that agreed when the project is formed and when the project is not yet started, and it's usually about the commencement of work where the amount is agreed, and it is a stipulated sum that's stated in the contract. So when to use a lump sum contract? When it is suitable for a project where it is well defined and not complex, which means all the drawings, all the details BQ can be prepared, can be well defined before the tender. And the second case is where the client wants certainty of the price and it has a fixed budget, which means the client would like to have a peace of mind on how much money that they need to invest for the project. So in this case, the lump sum contract is the most suitable if you have this kind of the client request. Okay, the third one, suitable for routine construction familiar by the contractors and managed to get accurate estimates, which means it's fair as well for the contractor. He knows that what amount to that they will anticipate and they can plan well before the project started. And not favorable for emergency project like we are having now, the COVID-19 situation where the government need to construct temporary hospital and so on. So it's not suitable for this kind of project because normally lump sum contract requires time for preparation, and also it's normally for a project that requires a competitive contract. And the second one is the remeasurement. Compared to the fixed price, remeasurement is where the contractors or the parties in contract, they are not certain on the price, on the final price, on the lump sum price of the project, but based on the basis of agreed schedule of price that been which identify individuals' costs for the labors and the materials. Okay, and the rates can be adjusted for fluctuations and variation to the works and other methods. Normally, the contract is used when the extent of works, particularly quantities, is unknown, which means perhaps for a project that requires a shorter time for preparation of the tender and so on. So when to use remeasurement contract? Only two situations where the extent of work is unknown, which means the time of contract, when the time of contract, the details of drawing is not given and the quantity is unknown, and if you have insufficient time, which means an emergency project to prepare details and also drawings for an accurate bills of quantity. So these are the two conditions where the remeasurement contract is being used. For the cost reimbursement, there are a few types. Prime cost plus a percentage of fee. Second one is a prime cost and a fixed fee. Okay, what's the difference here is the fee and prime cost, fluctuating fee, the target cost contract, and the cost plus contract with guarantee maximum price. So let's look at the types of these cost reimbursements. As mentioned to you, cost reimbursement contracts, the final contract price is only known after the project has been completed, which means the contract price is determined upon the completion of the project, where the basis of the actual cost incurred by the contractor in carrying out the works and the agreed amount or the percentage to cover the overhead and profit. So in other words, the word cost here refer to the direct cost in constructing the buildings or infrastructures, such as the cost for materials and labor and plants, plus the percentage of fee, and the word fee here refer to the overhead charges and the profit, and also including the preliminary items in preparation to commence the project on site. So the question is, when to use this cost reimbursement contract? So when your project is not readily, the scope of work for this project not readily determined before the tender, and where is a great urgencies, and also it's extremely complex project that use new technologies. So it is wise to use this kind of contract. The most important thing is that the level of trust between the client and the contractor must exist, because this project is full of certainties, and it requires a very close supervision by the consultants, and also the risk of exploitation is very high. So yeah, that's about cost reimbursement contract. So I guess I'll see you guys in the part 2 of this video. Thank you very much. See you in part 2.